What's going on, guys? Marvel's Ant-Man is in theaters right now. In fact, it climbed the anthill to the top of the box office. We had the awesome opportunity to sit down with one of the film's stars, Michael Pena, and the film's director, Peyton Reed. We asked them some of your burning questions, and we got a little inside info about the MCU. Warning, if you haven't seen the film, there's some Ant-Man spoilers ahead. So see the movie and come back and watch it if you haven't. That's how that works. We are here with Michael Pena, one of the stars of Ant-Man. He plays Luis. Michael, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, bud.
First, congratulations on an awesome flick.
Thank you.
It was way funnier than I expected. How much was scripted and how much was kind of improv?
My stuff was mainly improv. So I'm literally imitating a buddy. He's the kind of guy where I'm like, hey, Pablo, what'd you do this week? And he's like, I went to jail, doc. Nobody thinks like that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they would write some stuff that was really, I thought was really awesome. And then, you know, his voice would, like, you know, just give me different options. I was so nervous, I swear, because I'm like, my kid, I read him like a bunch of Marvel stuff.
Does he have a favorite one?
Thor. No, but he told me actually like right before I left, and he's like, don't mess it up, Dad. I'm like, great, thanks, buddy.
Joining us is the director of Ant-Man, Peyton Reed. Peyton, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What was the pressure like coming into this movie when the process had already been started? Coming in?
Well, it was fast. I came on the movie about the same time Adam McKay and Paul had signed on to rewrite and rework the script. So McKay, the thing you may not know about him is he is an obsessive Marvel Comics nerd as well.
Okay.
So there were at least 4 major conceptual things in the movie that had not existed in previous drafts that we were like, if we're doing an Ant-Man movie, we got to have this stuff in there. So we figured out a way to sort of put it in there, but make it organic to the story we were telling.
I would love for them to, like, you know, pull, like, you know, an Iron Man with, like, Don Cheadle, who was the friend, the sidekick, like the first Latino Avenger, the same way Rhodey got his, like, own thing.
You should tell Kevin Feige that.
Oh, I will absolutely. What's his phone number? Correct me in IMDb if we're wrong, but you directed the pre-show for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the ride.
That's absolutely right.
Eerie.
It's destiny.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it is. Yeah, Kismet. It's the ultimate Kismet. But it's kind of an odd thing, but it is true.
And was there any talk of bringing in Rick Moranis to play Hank Pym?
There was talk. Well, not to play Hank Pym, but it was one of the things I of course, obsessively went back and watched all the shrinking movies I could think of. And when it got to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I was like, I really miss Rick Moranis, man. And there was talk about, like, should we have him do some strategic cameo in the movie? But we already had a couple of strategic cameos in the movie, and then it felt like, okay, that might be gilding the lily. And it also was like, if we're going to get Rick Moranis back, he's got to have more than a cameo.
Right. What would the first Latino Avenger's name be?
Ant-Mang. Ant-Mang. Or maybe not even with a T. And man, what happened, man? I'm like, I'm tired, bro.
Marvel had less of a presence at this year's Comic-Con. DC, major presence. Do you want to throw down? Do you want to take any barbs at DC right now?
I love DC. I also grew up reading, you know, some Batman stuff.
Yes.
Commandy, The Last Boy on Earth. Is DC making a Commandy movie? Anyone? They should. That's DC, my throwdown. Hey, DC, make a Commandy, The Last Boy on Earth movie.
So I know there are a lot of secrets about everything coming out in the Marvel Universe, all the movies. How annoying is it to keep everything on lockdown under wraps?
It's not annoying, it's just fear. I was doing a movie in England. I got the script and I was like, great, man, thank you very much. He's like, no, I'll be out here. But now I get it, because if you know any little spoiler, you know, the fans are really knowledgeable. So if you say even the littlest thing, they already know like a third of the last act, and you can't have that.
We're gonna put you on the spot and ask you some spoilers, and
let's get spoiling.
Yeah, let's do it. So Falcon shows up in an amazing surprise scene.
I think I have to credit Adam McKay with that. That was when McKay came in, and it was like, you know, one of the great joys as a kid reading Marvel was sort of the cross-pollination and like, oh, I love this hero with these powers, and I love this hero with these powers. What happens if if we did something like Captain America or Thor? It might have sort of taken the movie into this whole left turn and become about that. But you know, the character of Sam just felt like the right character.
And there's also a shout out to the Avengers when they say, why don't we just call the Avengers? What were some other ways that were talked about as far as infusing their existence?
Well, to me, it was really organic, and mostly to the character of Hank Pym. I wanted to give him some definite opinions. He's an outsider. He's got definite attitudes about Howard Stark, Tony Stark, the Avengers. He does not trust any of them.
Is that a precursor to what's going to happen in Civil War?
I think it's safe to say that Pym's attitude about the Avengers and the Starks affects Scott Lang.
Will you tell us right now that Ant-Man will definitely have Captain America's back in Civil War?
I'm not going to answer that one.
Okay. All right.
You get the Russos in here. Grill them. Put them on the hot seat.
Would love to.
Russos, if you show up, the coffee's great. You'll like it. It's really good.
Is there any rivalry between directors? Do you guys haze each other when a new Marvel director comes into the...
No, it's actually the opposite, which is another thing I love. And we just sent Scott Derrickson off to London to do Doctor Strange, which I cannot wait.
Oh, yeah. No,
I love Doctor Strange.
So speaking of Doctor Strange, when Ant-Man goes into that infinitesimally smaller zone and keeps shrinking and shrinking, there were elements of the Doctor Strange universe in that sequence. How much did that affect you? And was there any talk of bringing Doctor Strange in right there?
Well, that was another thing. The first time McKay and I talked about Ant-Man, we both wanted to embrace that psychedelic era of Marvel, that sort of late 60s, early 70s psychedelic version, you know, and Doctor Strange is certainly going to do it, getting into whatever they're getting into, parallel universes and ultimate realities and that stuff. So we really wanted to, you know, this is the end of Phase 2, and to give a little tease of what might be in store for Phase 3.
Yeah.
But again, organic to our story because it's this moment of self-sacrifice for Scott. And I have to say, if you have a very keen eye, you might be able to detect a clue about something in the quantum realm when you watch the movie.
Now, some people have said they might have seen a silhouette.
They might have.
They might have.
Yes.
Confirm or deny?
Well, there is definitely something there to be seen in the quantum realm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Tell us exactly what it is and where it fits in.
Well, listen, I think we clearly set up Hank Pym's character as a guy who is motivated in large part by this loss in his life. He lost his wife.
Yeah.
According to his science, you can't go into the quantum realm and get out. But Scott Lang does it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, you know, we see Pym leaning in. It's like, you sure? Do you see anything in there? Anything at all? And Scott's like, I'm sorry, I don't remember. But you can see that something's taken hold with Pym, and it might have reignited this obsession. Yeah. It remains to be seen if that's a good thing or a bad thing, and that's...
That was a good Michael Douglas impression there.
Scott, did you see anything at all in there?
Love that. Now, the internet. We've asked our Twitter followers for questions to ask Peyton Reed. I'm going to throw some at you, okay?
Excellent, yes.
What's Wasp's future? And will we see the Wasp before Ant-Man 2?
Obviously, she's going to step into a much more important role. In terms of whether we'll see her before Ant-Man 2, that's a giant question mark. Who knows? I actually don't know the answer to that.
You never show the original Wasp's face. Was that by design?
Yeah, it really was about like, well, you know, if we were to see Janet Van Dyne at some point in the Marvel Universe, is she the same age? Is she older? Well, I mean, there are all these questions. How are things affected in the quantum realm in terms of time and space? We don't know.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot big time here.
Okay.
We know he's working with Hydra. Is Martin Donovan the Mandarin?
Wow. Is Martin Donovan the Mandarin? Well, first of all, I love Martin. So to bring him into the MCU for me was a victory. There are definitely a lot of paths that character could take. He's actually a character in the comics, Mitchell Carson.
Okay.
So check out Wikipedia, see, you know, it might give you some clues as to what might happen with Mitchell Carson.
Another one of our Twitter followers asks, any possibility of seeing Giant Man in the future?
Listen, I think, you know, with Hank Pym and Scott Lang and that technology, I think it's safe to say at some point, somewhere, you're going to see some real growth for that character. I hedge my bet because it could be just sort of growth as a human being, emotional growth.
Yeah. Or it could be like giant growth.
Yeah.
Literal
giant growth. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a good chance of that.
I think you meant that. Peyton, any possibility of seeing Hank Pym suit up as the Ant-Man in the future?
Technically, it could be done, and it could be done with Michael Douglas. I mean, you know, listen, that whole era in the comics where Ant-Man and Wasp were, you know, this amazing fighting and romantic duo. I grew up with that. I loved it. So there are a lot of possibilities, but I think it'd be amazing to do sort of a period Ant-Man Wasp movie. It would be amazing. There are no plans for it currently, but it could be kick-ass.
That sounds great. Please make it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, awesome. Well, I had a nice time talking to those guys. Thanks again to Michael Pena and Peyton Reed for coming in and chatting with us. So what was your favorite part of Ant-Man? Let us know in the comments section below what scene blew your mind. The best answer? We're gonna send you a Screen Junkies t-shirt. I wanna thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye.
One man who could never sneeze with his helmet on, Cobra Commander, is in charge at Comic-Con. This summer, the Minions are back, and they forgot the rest of their pans. Minions, now in theaters.